Good afternoon, my friends, and welcome to this breaking news update. If you hadn't heard yet, a judge in Sheridan County, Darcy Phillips, has ruled that the Sheridan County Commissioners violated the law when they refused to appoint someone to fill the vacant seat on the Sheridan County Commission. Now, the four commissioners, if you've been listening to Cowboy State Politics the last few episodes, I've played audio for you from the Sheridan County Commission, where they basically tried to use a parliamentary procedure maneuver to get around following Wyoming statute. And the problem is that they can't get around it. Wyoming statute 183524 says that the Sheridan County Commission shall appoint someone from the three candidates that were provided to them by the Sheridan County Republican Party. So they didn't. In fact, what they did is they said they're not qualified. Listen to this.
Some decorum in here, please. While I appreciate everyone's courage to throw their name in the hat, it does not automatically mean they're qualified.
Does not automatically mean that they're qualified. Man, this live stuff is fun, isn't it? So from the judge's order on page 3, and I quote, Wyoming statute annotated 22-1-102 defines qualified elector as every citizen of the United States who is a bona fide resident of Wyoming, has registered to vote, and will be at least 18 years of age on the day of the election, after which he may offer to vote. No person is a qualified elector who is currently adjudicated mentally incompetent or who has been convicted of a felony and his civil or voting rights have not been restored. A literacy test shall not be imposed as a condition to voting in any election. So when Christy Antoinette said that none of these people are qualified, she erred. In fact, what she was saying is, I don't really like any of these people, so we're not going to choose any of them. Unfortunately for her, qualified in Wyoming law means that you are a qualified elector. So joining me in studio is one of the candidates that was selected by the Sheridan County Republican Party, Holly Jennings. Holly, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me on the show today, David.
So let's just get your reaction. What do you think about the judge's ruling?
You know, I have to tell you, my first thought to this was it brought back hope in the judicial system, in our system of government, in the fact that the rule of law is as important as I think it is. And so I'm really pleased with the judge's announcement.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. And this is a huge win for Sheridan County.
It is.
Because obviously you have 4 redcoats that are on the Sheridan County Commission right now. I mean, if they weren't, they would just select from the candidates that were given to them by the Republican Party. And interestingly enough, is not Christy Antoinette Haswell, is she not a precinct person?
She is indeed a precinct person. And in fact, she did vote in the election that happened on I believe the 29th of... No, wasn't the 29th.
Well, anyway.
The date where the Republican Central Committee met to narrow down candidates. She did indeed vote in that election.
Now, did she say anything about the quality of the candidates?
Well, as a candidate, I was not in the room. I was not allowed to be in the room for the actual discussion or when other candidates were being interviewed. However, I was in there as a precinct committee woman myself. I was in there for the vote. So I never heard anything from her in the time that I was in there. Now, if she said something while I wasn't, I'm not aware of it.
Well, several different people have told Cowboy State Politics that not a word was said during the Republican Party election. Now, are there any other members of the Campbell County Commission that are precinct men or precinct women?
Well, you mean the Sheridan County?
Yeah, Sheridan County, sorry.
No, none of the other current commissioners are members of the precinct committee.
But they're all registered Republicans, right?
As far as I know, yes.
Okay, so anyway, we had the vote. 3 candidates were chosen, and that would be Mike Arzy, Brian Helfrich, and yourself.
Yes.
And those were forwarded to the county commission. And if you listened to Cowboy State Politics yesterday, in fact, if you just give me a second, I can find that soundbite, and we can go ahead and play it. What was actually said. In fact, I think that we probably should. What do you think?
Sure.
All right, hold on. Just give me just a second, and I'll find that soundbite, and we'll go ahead and play it. Here we go. Boom. And here we go. Now, what you're going to listen to is from the Sheridan County Commission meeting that was on Monday, correct?
No, it was Tuesday.
Tuesday morning at the Sheridan County Commission.
Yes.
So here you go. Take a listen to this. It's a little bit long, but we'll go ahead and listen to it.
New session and reconvene into open session.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We are back into open session. Moving on to item 4, appointment of temporary successor to fill county commissioner vacancy.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Ringley.
I move to appoint Michael Darcy to fill a vacancy for the position of Sheridan County Commissioner, assuming his or her duties upon taking the oath of office and executing his official bond to the state of Wyoming and continuing until January 1st, 2025.
Do we have a second? Do we have a second? Do we have a second? The motion fails for lack of a second motion.
Madam Chairman, I move to appoint Brian Helfrich to fill the vacancy for the position of Sheridan County Commissioner, assuming his or her duties upon taking the oath of office and executing his official bond to the state of Wyoming, continuing until January 1, 2025.
Do we have a second? Do we have a second? Do we have a second? Motion fails for lack of a second.
Madam Chair, I move to appoint Holly Jennings to fill the vacancy for the position of Sheridan County Commissioner, assuming her duties upon taking the oath of office and executing her official bond to the state of Wyoming and continuing until January 1st, 2025.
Do we have a second? Do we have a second? Do we have a second? Yep. And the motion fails for lack of a second. I would like to close by saying this, that we take this elected position very seriously. We need some decorum in here, please. While I appreciate everyone's courage to throw their name in the hat, it does not automatically mean they're qualified. These candidates were not supported by Sheridan County voters. We would not be doing our job if we selected one of these threes that were not supported by the county. We are adjourned at 10:02.
What do you think about that, Holly?
Well, it was interesting sitting in that room. I can tell you when they first made the motion for Mike Arzy, my first thought was, awesome. I'm so glad that they are going to follow the process, the statute. Congratulations to Mike. And then as they went through the rest of it, dread kind of started to build, like, I can't believe this is happening. And of course, when they were finished, it was kind of just surprised a little bit, but also I had thought beforehand that this was a possibility. So, we'll see where it goes.
Well, no, I've heard rumors that they were talking about this in the media.
It actually was brought up on Sheridan Media multiple times.
Well, so we already talked about the first part where they said, y'all aren't qualified, right? And how that doesn't mix with Wyoming statute.
It doesn't.
Now, her second argument is, well, none of these people were supported by the voters, which, of course, is a ridiculous argument because if they had been, they'd been elected.
Well, it's very disenfranchising to anyone who voted for us. I myself got 3,200 votes. Mike was just below me, and then Brian was just below him. So to say that the people of Sheridan County that they don't have a voice anymore, I just can't go with that.
Well, what's fascinating, here's the vote totals, just in case anybody's writing them down. So Nick Siddle got 5,088 votes. Christy Antoinette Haswell got 4,199. Alan Thompson got 4,068. Holly Jennings, got 3,245. Mike Arzy got 2,911. Brian Helfrich got 2,382. And then Dennis Fox and Jason, I don't even know how you pronounce his last. Chefs?
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, if you look at the vote totals, the bottom 5 got way more votes than anybody that actually got elected. So how could they possibly claim that Sheridan County didn't support these 3 candidates?
Well, it gets even worse because not only did they say that we weren't supported, then it was further stated by a long shot.
By a long shot.
And, I can do a little bit of math, even though I guess I'm not qualified maybe to do it, is what they say. But if you look at that, Miss Chairwoman Haswell, who was the one who said both of those things, got 4,200 votes, and I got 3,200. So that's 1,000 vote difference.
Now, there's one other piece of this, and Wyoming is kind of unique with our Constitution. There's lots of things in our Constitution that are absolutely awesome. And by the way, if you've never read the Wyoming Constitution, first of all, shame on you. Second, what have you been waiting for? All you got to do is pay the Secretary of State $2 and you can get yourself a copy. It's actually a cool little blue book. But one of the unique passages in Article 1 of our Constitution, and I think we might be the only state that has this in our Constitution, but let me just read it to you. It's Article 1, Section 3, and it says equal political rights. Since equality in the enjoyment of natural and civil rights is only made sure through political equality, the laws of this state affecting the political rights and privileges of its citizens shall be without distinction of race, color, sex, or any circumstances, and here comes the really important part, or condition whatsoever other than individual incompetency or unworthiness as duly ascertained by a court of competent jurisdiction.
Yeah, correct.
So what that means is unless you've had a court say, you're not qualified, all you got to be is 18, be a citizen of the state of Wyoming, or in this case, Sheridan County, and you are a qualified elector. So there's a lot of different aspects to what the Sheridan County Commissioners did, and I'll be very interested to see how this plays out. So any closing thoughts, Holly?
I think the thing that about this whole process that really gave me a lot of pause and concern was the idea that was pretty much put forth that unless you fit the specific mold that we want, you can't be involved in your own government. And I have always been someone who has said, you know what, this is all of our government, and we all need to be involved in whatever way we can. And so that concerns me that a precedent could be set that you could have a professional government, that you could have bureaucrats instead of everyday American people, blue collar, white collar, it doesn't matter. We all should have the opportunity to be involved in our government. And that to me is the most important thing. I certainly don't want anyone to feel like they can't go and apply for a position as long as they meet those actual statutory requirements of the qualifications that David just said. I want people to go for it, to be involved.
Well, and our republic was set up that way.
Yes, it was.
It was never set up to have professional politicians or elites governing everything. In Buffalo, not that long ago, well, actually, it's probably 10 years or more now, the barber was fed up with what was happening on the city council. And, barbers, they hear things all day long. And his name was Russ. And he just walked over to City Hall. His barbershop wasn't that far away from City Hall, and filed to run for city council. And he was elected. And he was a pain in their tail ends the entire time he was on the city council. But it's kind of the point that this government doesn't belong to any one group.
It doesn't.
It belongs to the people.
Well, further than that, you said he was a pain. Our government was set up so that we can sit down and we can discuss different ideas and different viewpoints and have different values and thoughts. And that should be encouraged, not stifled.
Absolutely. And in fact, there's one of my other favorite passages. I keep saying it's my favorite passage in the Wyoming Constitution.
You
but
have so many favorite passages.
I do. But this one is Article 1, Section 7, and it's called No Absolute Arbitrary Power.
Yeah.
It says absolute arbitrary power over the lives, liberty, and property of free men exists nowhere in a republic, not even in the largest majority. So while this was definitely a win for you and the two other candidates, this was definitely a win for Sheridan County. One more blow against the tyranny of the Sheridan County Commissioners. It was also a big win for the state because this same thing has been tried all over the state of Wyoming. And it was a big win for the rule of law.
Yeah.
That elites do not get to run our government any way that they want to.
Yeah.
That we are a nation of laws. We are not a nation of men. Well, Holly, thank you very much for taking the time out of what I'm sure is a very busy day for you.
It is shaping up to be so.
I think you're going to be busy probably the entire Labor Day weekend. So for those of you that are listening, you'll be able to hear this breaking news update in just a few minutes after I get a chance to post it to the podcast. Thank you, Holly, and make sure you keep us updated.
Thank you, David.
Links to Judge Darcy Phillips' order are available at the website cowboystatepolitics.com. But for now, from the base of the Bighorns at the Cowboy State Politics Northern Command Studio in Sheridan, Wyoming, I'm David Iverson, and this is the one and only Cowboy State Politics.